Tomahawk City.
I like that we start the show with that for two reasons. One, it's funny and we all laugh. Two, it reminds us to look up and look at the camera because we're on the air now. So we've come a long way, Luddy, haven't we?
We're getting tipped off. I like it.
It's way better for us as a show than the let's catch you with your pants down every time. I think so. Except for Sam. He's still up in the air on that. Stars win. First time in 8 games against the Leafs. They are victorious. Huge road trip. Stankoven, Bourque, Duchene. Let's start the DLS Dallas Stars postgame show right now.
Get ready, boys.
Hey, Lutz, what time is it?
Post-game time.
It's winning time here on the DLLS Dallas Stars postgame show alongside Craig Ludwig, Sam Nessler, our producer John Anderson, and myself, Owen Newkirk. We are here ready to talk about victory again. 8th win in their last 9 games. How about that? 5-game road trip, 4-1.
Big. What's even bigger is been a while for Sam to be back in the studio. He had his mic backwards.
It's facing the wrong way. It's been a while, boys. Let's get it ready.
Sam got lost. How about Logan Stankoven? Finally scored, and then he did it again. His second career multi-goal game. Huge night for the rookies because Bourque got a goal, and then Matt Duchene just did something fancy. We'll talk about all of that here in our recap. But just overall, when you look at 4 wins out of 5 on the road trip, they lose their winning streak in Ottawa, but they are, they get revenge over a Leafs team that has had their number for the better part of 5 years.
The first thing I think of as when you think of these games is I don't see them getting rattled over anything. Tonight, the first few minutes weren't great. I mean, Toronto was, pushing. You expect them to push in their own building, and it doesn't appear that there's any panic and you don't see anything out of care. They just kind of go about their business and methodically go, okay, we'll do this and we'll do this. And probably one guy that we're probably not going to talk a ton about that I thought was really good was the goaltender in Ottinger. He was really good. He seemed comfortable. He seemed calm on a big stage. We saw the picture this morning with a whole herd of reporters standing around him like he hasn't had before. And, I think there's going to be a lot of talk about everything else, but I think Jake was really good tonight.
I love... Just on a quick side note to that, I love that Ottinger will speak on game day. Not every goalie does that, although nowadays there's more. And
Casey does not, interesting.
It's not as crazy as it used to be, but many goalies like to do their own thing. Sean has a great line from Alex Lyon, who was with the Detroit Red Wings, and would talk, and then afterwards go, hey, I got to go get ready for a game now, or try to win a hockey game. It was a funny line. Sean always talks about how great Lyon was talking to in media and stuff like that. But I like the idea that you can do that as part of your job, which is selling the sport. You are an entertainment industry. And then also say, okay, now it's time to go dial in and not have to do it for days and days. Not criticizing somebody's process. I know there were plenty of guys. I'm pretty sure your old goalie, Mr. Belfour, had a lot of specifics on how to get himself ready, but whatever works,
I
right?
Talking to the media.
That's what I mean.
No, they didn't even go to him after.
That's
a while.
right. Didn't want to. No. Right. It was all about getting his mind right to play the game.
Sam's the best one to speak on this. I mean, the guys today. I mean, I get the image or the impression that they're almost all. I'm not talking just goalies, but they're all pretty accommodating.
Yeah, and calm.
Yeah,
they're very calm. I think that's what it says about these guys. They don't think that talking to media for 5 minutes is going to throw off their entire day or routine or whatever. We talked about, remember, Kari Lehtinen, who had a lot of things mentally that he had to get ready for games, and it's just not that way with a lot of goalies. And Jake is one of the most confident people I've ever met, and he shows it. And he'll talk to the media for 15 minutes and stay after and talk to you after the media and still go out and play a great game.
You know what? Stars have scored 5 power play goals in their last 5 games. Can we get a Steve spot?
Heyo.
How about that? 5-5.
How many did the second unit get? 2 or 3.
You got a couple tonight. You talking about over that 5?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Jamie scored 1. Dodonov scored 1, so that's 1, right? Then Dodonov scored against the Senators. And then tonight...
Bourque's tonight.
Bourque.
Bourque.
So that's 3 out of 5 by the second unit.
Yep.
Like that.
I like it. All right, let's talk about this game. Auston Matthews opened the scoring with a shot 4 minutes and 15 seconds into the game. Mitch Marner with his team-leading 46 assists. And it felt like that was a bad way to start because it was the second scoring attempt or scoring chance, and he just beat Jake Ottinger short side high. And you're worried, uh-oh, here we go again. But actually, that was the only one that would beat Jake all night with a help of the post 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I think just prior to that, what Mitch Marner does, when Marner gets it, he goes from his left to his right, and he kind of goes to the middle. I wouldn't say it was in the middle of the ice, but as he was moving to the right, he makes that pass back to his left, back to Matthews. I think that for a split moment, that probably froze Jake a little bit because he has to respect Marner because, Marner does so many different things, and he does things you don't really ever expect. And they know he's a passer first, but he's been shooting the puck, it seems like, the last couple of years a little bit more. And so I think that may have kept Jake off of the post where he probably, by the time he got over there, because Matthews to me is just the best pure shooter in the game. I know Ovi's got a bunch of goals, but Matthews is, again, it takes him no time to get it to where he wants it and pull the trigger. And, from the angle that we see, that there was a couple inches there.
That little move, that little just change of angle, it seems so subtle. It is, and yet it causes so much trouble for goalies.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it does or why it does, but obviously it works well because we see some of these guys, do it quite often.
Well, Toronto Maple Leafs had the lead. They get a power play, and they did everything but score. They hit, Morgan Rielly hit the post from the point, although I don't think that was a high danger chance, but it did get close because it hit the post. Then Tavares had that one-timer in the high slot. Nylander got the rebound, hit the left post. That was a really high danger chance. And then Rielly, this time from the left circle, hits the post. That was a really dangerous look. So that's 3 goalposts in 1 power play. That was dangerous. It looked like the Stars were absolutely going to get run over if they took penalties. Well, the good news is, in the third period, they took another. They didn't take very many. Sam Steele got both, which is always dangerous because he's one of their better penalty killers. But they completely smothered Toronto on that third period power play.
They do such a good job on the penalty kill that the first one was almost surprising to see how dominant Toronto was. They were shoot happy. We talked about it, right? And the Stars ended up doing some of that themselves in this game. But it's surprising when they do get beat, and luckily it didn't go in, obviously, on that first power play. But the Stars have been so good. I talked to Colin Blackwell for a while in either New York or Philly about how they are so good, and he just talked about they barely even have to talk to each other anymore. They just bounce off each other. One player goes, the other one knows he has to go with him, and they rotate so well. So it was almost a surprise to see them getting kind of skated around a little bit in the first one. But yeah, that second one was a whole bunch of nothing.
I've used this analogy a few different times. It's like the 4 guys have a rope attached to all their hips, and so when one goes this way, he pulls the other one into the right place, and the other one pulls into the right place. And so, a lot of teams nowadays are, when you're playing 5-on-5, there's 5 guys in a quadrant, and you're making it difficult to come through there. And it's the same way with a lot of the penalty kills. And so they do that. They tighten things up, and there's not a lot of space. And if you're going to bobble the puck, where you used to be spread out in that kind of box, and you weren't as tight as they are now, is that you can, you don't have a lot of time. And so there's a little more panic in guys because we know that there's no time. And if you lose the puck for a split second, there's going to be somebody else there to pick it up and throw it down the ice.
You guys ready for this? Robert Tiffin, our friend,
I was about to say the same thing.
tweeted out that on the postgame show for Victory Plus, because they talked to Logan Stankoven, Stank said that Joe Pavelski called him this morning just to check in. How about that? 3-point night, 2 goals. Maybe Joe should have called him a little sooner.
Or maybe call him in a couple of days again.
Yeah, call him on Thursday when they host the Montreal Canadiens for the second. They play him for the second time.
Well, I think Blue Mel wants to give him a call, and probably Huru and all. Everybody will probably want to give him a call. Dumba, start calling everybody all the time, Joe.
Somebody get
on the payroll and start calling.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Well, the Stars did get back into it courtesy of one Logan Stankoven. 4 minutes and 13 seconds after the Stars gave up that goal to Auston Matthews, the long 25-game goal drought ended. That's right. Logan Stankoven hadn't scored a goal since November the 14th against the Boston Bruins. Sorry, John. And maybe that's his
Check their
penance.
score tonight.
Yeah,
Right?
You knew that. He was going to get the last word on that one.
I know he was. Well, maybe that's. I was waiting for John to say he scored against Boston, so then that's his punishment is to then not score for 25 games. But he gets one tonight from Sam Steele and Matt Duchene. It's his 5th of the year, and it was a backhand rebound at the crease. And Letty, you said to me after the goal, you said to both of us, it's the same thing he always does. Sam was joking that he'd do that the last game, and he'd hit the knob of the stick, hit the post, dribble around. The thing is that he hasn't let this completely affect him, even though it clearly was affecting him.
What's impressive is being a young player and having the start that he had, and he knows what he does. He knows what he does well. He knows why he gets those opportunities. And I think there's other players that may have deviated a little bit from this. I got to try this. I got to try that. He doesn't. The little clip that John and I did, I just said he's been doing the same thing all 25 games leading up to this goal that he didn't score. He gets pucks to the net. He goes to the net. He stops at the net, and he stays there. And then it's rinse and repeat after that. And what I like about him on this particular goal, he doesn't just take it for granted that the goaltender's got the puck covered up. You watch what he does when he goes in and he stops. He's always kind of peeking around. Is it laying around here somewhere? He did that tonight, and it just happened to squirt through Wolves' feet and legs, and it was just laying right there for a little tap in.
Gift. I was just going to say a gift. He needed a gift, and he got a gift.
Yeah, I don't call it a gift because he worked to get to the net.
It worked,
right?
but it was sitting right there for
yeah,
him.
but
he
again,
needed that.
There kind of was a bow on it when he tapped it in.
Right. I'm glad they went, but it wasn't like an empty net gift. It
No.
wasn't a tap in. It was he had to go hard, knock it, and it got over the pad of wall and in. And I don't want to call it a gift because that sounds like it hit him off the button just when it.
Yeah, and I don't want to
get a second one.
That's different.
I'm not going to take away from your call, your play-by-play here. That's exactly how he got a second goal, too.
Yes.
I mean, he just does the same things over and over again. And that's exactly why the general manager wasn't worried. Pete DeBoer's not worried. They know that he does the right things, and eventually they're going to start to go for him. Now, could it be another 22 games? I doubt it, but who knows?
Stars, I thought, were not necessarily the better team in the first period, but they were tied. They had a couple of looks. Robertson and Blumel each had good looks. Jason Robertson actually hit the post. The biggest concern, guys, was Rope Hintz getting hurt, leaving in the first period, and he would not return with an upper body injury. They listed him as questionable, but we never saw him again after that first period.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate. I don't know where it happened. He did take a big hit from Matthews, kind of an awkward hit, and then he had that weird fall kind of by the blue line trying to stay on side, but didn't see him. I think he only played like 2:27, something like that in the first period, and then did not come back. So the hope is that it was something minor and that they just kept him out in precaution. That's why he was questionable, but we will not find out until now or potentially 2 days from now.
Yeah, this isn't negative, but we've seen this before from Rupe. I mean, like he'll take something, he'll come out, but he returns fairly quickly all the time. And so it might be one of them things, and it could be the trainers being a little cautious and saying, hey, whether it's a shoulder or a hip or whatever. I mean, we saw him fall with the hit that Sam's talking about from Matthews. Just before that, he was at the blue line, and it looked like he kind of got himself tangled up. I thought maybe it could be his foot, ankle, or something like that. But I'm sure if they kept him out, there's something that they were concerned with.
Up next, let's talk about the rest of the game because we're getting closer to your super chats. I know you're clamoring. Our GM, our boss, GM Ben, is in the chats shouting for them. We'll get to that in segment 3 here on the DLLS Dallas Stars postgame show.
I'm excited to be here talking about Sleeper between my two favorite people. Sleeper is the best fantasy platform out there. Put your ball knowledge or puck knowledge to the test.
He hasn't learned
by
yet.
By picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than your projected stats each week.
What a mistake.
Tomorrow, I'm going to go with an easy one. I have Connor McDavid scoring a goal against the Minnesota Wild. I know it's kind of a cop-out, but I really don't care. If he scores, you can win 2.31 times your money. Sleeper keeps you in the loop with instant alerts for breaking news and major injuries, so you can stay ahead of the game, keep track of league updates in real time, and always outsmart your friends. If you think you have what it takes, new users can download the Sleeper app and use the code DLS to get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Apply it to any contest, doesn't have to be your first. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
Let's talk about the East-West Shrine Bowl. America's oldest college football all-star game is being held right here in Texas on January 30th. You can be a part of history in the making at the 100th East-West Shrine Bowl at AT&T Stadium. Since 1925, the game has benefited Shriners Children's and its mission to provide innovative pediatric specialty care to improve and transform the lives of children. See some of the nation's top college football players play in this head-to-head competition ahead of the NFL Draft. And we're talking about some of the largest names in football have been in the East-West Shrine Bowl. Tom Brady, Walter Payton, Roger Staubach, Lawrence Taylor, and more. You get today's All-Stars and tomorrow's Legends by going to see the East-West Shrine Bowl, which has served as a starting point for many noteworthy NFL careers, including 80 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and more than 200 members of the College Football Hall of Fame. Tickets start at just $20 and use the code DLLS when purchasing 2 or more tickets to receive 50% off. Visit shrinebowl.com to buy your tickets today. Okay, so it's 1-1 after 1. No hints on the second period. We didn't see a lot of Mete Blumel in the game either. He was on the bench. The curiosity is, and we'll have to find out later, was he hurt or was he just scratched? And the weird thing about it would be if he was benched, you're already down a forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Stars generally like to role players. Why would they go down to 3 lines unless they saw him do something in a defensive coverage that they just were petrified of and said, nope, that's it.
Yeah, he was back. I know he left for a brief time. I don't know if it was an equipment issue or something like that. Came back pretty quickly, but he did not play after 10 minutes and 17 seconds, 10 minutes and 4 seconds of the second period. So it was odd. We did confirm he was on the bench, but you're right. You would think, normally you'd think, all right, it's not a huge deal because Pete DeBoer has done this recently. We've seen Hoover get benched and Ritzkovian get bent, but you're right. They were already down guys playing this game, so it had to have been something that he did. That's the only thing I can think of.
How many games had it been that they hadn't beaten the Leafs?
7.
That's what I think.
They were making sure of it.
They just
we're ending this skid here.
Haven't built up the trust in the coaches with him yet.
Yeah, and again, he hasn't had a ton of ice time and things like that. So
let's talk about power play for a minute, because in the first period, John Tavares was called for hooking at 17:31. It was an abysmal power play. They couldn't even get in the zone. Both units, and Letty, they tried the same entry with a couple variations, and it was as if Toronto's penalty killers had the playbook and heard the play call before they even tried to enter the zone.
Well, it's called scouting. I mean, we've seen now for a while, a lot of teams have the playbook on it. I can tell you what it's going to be, and it's going to be the same one next time. But what they did is they found a way on their next one to recover the puck. And I think it got a little deeper. A lot of times when they don't have success, it's not even it barely gets to the top of the circle because they probably the tic-tac-toe, and this one got a little bit deeper. Then they win a 50-50 puck battle, and that's how they end up getting the puck out.
Well, in the second period, it was the same guy, Tavares, took a slashing penalty at 11:01. This time, it was the second unit that got out there, and not first. The first unit got their time, didn't do much. Then it was the second group that came out, and they had 2 quality chances. First, Dodonov with a one-timer from the right circle, just missed the net wide. And then Mavrik Bourque scored. This one was a bit of a fortuitous bounce. You talk about Stankoven in the first period working hard. This time, Stankoven with a great tip of a Harley shot, and he used Bourque as a backboard to make it a 2-1 Stars lead.
If you go and watch that replay, and I watched it numerous times, Stank thought he got that goal.
Yeah, he celebrated.
Right? Did you see that?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because he actually turns to start heading to Harley. And then I think out of the corner of his eye, he either hears Bourque or somebody says something, and he kind of goes, oh, yeah. So he's just as happy.
Yeah.
But I think, again, what did they do differently than the first group did? They started direct. They've done it every time they've been out there. Whether they're getting 30 seconds or 45 seconds, they make 1 or 2 passes and it goes to the net. 1 or 2 passes goes to the net. And, and again, you get the shooter out there, and Thomas, who he finds the seams. He's really good at finding some kind of a seam. And he gets the puck up to the net. It was that simple.
I love more than just shooting the puck because you're exactly right. As Owen just said, it was a quick pass. Dodonov with a one-timer misses, and then right back up, and Harley within probably 5 to 6 seconds of that shot missing gets another shot to the net. But I think what the Stars have been missing a lot, and Miro did it a couple times later in the game on their next power play, but shooting the puck from the middle of the ice.
Yep.
I think they have guys. You talk about how good Jamie Benn is in front of the net. They have guys. Obviously, Stankoven can do it. He's tipped a few pucks off of his own teammates. He's the one who tipped it off Marchment, and he also tipped it off Bourque. Very similar plays. But they have guys that are good in front of the net. They work on it all the time. Just pull it to the middle and shoot the puck. And they do that, and it works.
I just think when it comes to Miro being at the top versus Harley, is he doesn't even look to shoot it. It's more, it's going here and it's going here. And we're going to move it. I'm going to move it to whoever. We said this a few times. Be a little more selfish because Jamie Benn is always there. Now, he wasn't there. I mean, they've changed it a little bit. And so Jamie, on a couple goals, like the second one, the Duchene one, Jamie's coming off of the left wall. So, and we saw a goal the other night where Jamie was over there also, and Robo, and I think it was Hintz and Robo down to the goal line out front. So they've tweaked that little bit. But again, when Hintz is there, he does a good job in front of the net too. So there are people there. And again, instead of moving around the perimeter and, get bodies coming there and be able to recover those 50-50 pucks, get it out and do it again.
That made it a 2-1 Stars lead. They would carry that through the end of the period. And what was really impressive was the close of period 2. Toronto did not have much offensively. And it was a 1-goal hockey game, but it felt like Dallas broke their spirits.
Yeah, I think they kept, unlike the first part of the first period and things, Dallas was playing downhill. And I don't think that Toronto's the kind of team, and we've seen Dallas necessarily isn't either, where they're going to say, we're going to start getting pucks in and we're going to start working teams in the offensive zone, get some back. And Dallas is, how they cover in the neutral zone and even in the D zone, how they're quick enough to move on puck carriers. It didn't give them a lot of time and space tonight.
I think Dallas is so frustrating. We've talked about this before, but Dallas is so frustrating as a team when you are trying to attack them, usually when they're on their game. And that's what we saw over this 7-game winning streak. But what was interesting tonight is none of that was there for the first, 8 minutes or so. And then all of a sudden they get the goal and they're just like, okay, let's do this again. And Toronto just looked like they could not get anything through them. They were either dumping pucks in and not getting them, or they were just getting stuck up at the red line.
Go to the third period, and for the 5th time in 42 games, the Stars scored multiple power play goals in the same contest. And this was a quick one because it was just a thing of brilliance. 66 seconds in. Credit to, by the way, Steve Spot. John was getting yelled at in the chat tonight by our diehards and some of our maybe even non-diehards. If you're not a diehard and you're giving producer John guff, you should sign up to be a diehard and then yell at him in the Discord because they want a different Steve Spot. And John was trying to explain how it works both ways. He's evil, but then when it works, he's an evil genius.
Yeah, and when the power play isn't working, Steve Spot's the villain, and then when it is working, he's proving everyone wrong, and he's still a villain.
He's the evil villain.
No matter what. I don't want to make another one.
Okay, well, I can keep it simple for you. You wouldn't have to change anything.
You're about to explain Photoshop to me, Luds?
No.
Please.
I'll show you how to do it.
What I was going to say is you could just add, if they score 2 or more, maybe put a little halo above his head. You can still leave the devil eyes and everything else. I'm just saying.
Well, that would kind of defeat the purpose of having the devil eyes.
Well, not necessarily. It's still a love-hate relationship going on here.
So,
move on.
I'm ready for it. Duchene scores his 17th of the year from Johnson and Haskin in 106 of the third period. And this was a beautiful individual play by Matt Duchene that not everybody in the NHL can pull off.
No, and this is Matt Duchene. We talked about it, and again, we got a little drawing here.
You guys went fancy.
We went a little fancy. And as this is going along, Wyatt's got the puck here. The only reason John's got this circle around Matt's head is he's not looking at Wyatt in this particular shot. What he's doing, he's checking over his right shoulder to see where their ex-teammate is, Chris Tanev, who is right in front of the net, right where he's supposed to be. Okay, now we slide to the next one, still in the same spot, and he's checked again. Wyatt kind of comes up, the puck goes out, come back to Wyatt here. Then we go to the next shot, and all of a sudden, Chris Tanev is not where he used to be. And there's a reason why he's not there, is because he sees Jamie Benn coming back on the back door, and so he's trying to take that pass away. And the reason that Duchene's been looking around is to see if he's got enough space to pull this move off, and then he pulls the between the legger, and he executes it perfectly. But without him looking over his shoulder, finding if Tanev have exited that little area right where Tanev's stick is. Tanev's stick, that's where his body was before. This one here, all's that is here is his stick. Tanev is trying to cover two different guys. Matt Duchene, I've probably been waiting a long time to pull this one off, and everybody accommodates him, and he got a finish on it.
It was a gorgeous finish. Again, between the legs, flick it to the far side. It's the kind of thing a guy does it after practice when they're in that mess around mode, working on individual things or just goofing off. But he's able to have the presence of mind to do it in the game in a crucial moment.
Yeah, and that's what these guys are so good at. They're aware of their surroundings all the time. And guys that are puck-skilled guys like this, it isn't just because God blessed them with these hands and things like that. It's their vision. They know what they're going to do with it before they even get it. And so Matt was looking around. Now all of a sudden a little more space in front of the goaltender. Tanev backs off a little bit. Now he's probably thinking, you know what? If I'm going to try to spin or something like that, Wall's going to come with me, but I'm going to try this. He tries it, and like I said, he pulls it off.
I think JT in the chat is trolling you because first, as you were putting up your drawings, he goes, damn, is this ESPN? And then he follows up by saying, I knew Tanev was a bum. Dumba would never. Someone's having fun tonight. We appreciate it, JT.
Well, ESPN's post-game show doesn't exist. They just end the game or go to a next game.
They go to football highlights usually, right?
Yeah, they go to football or something.
So,
that was a negative comment? Is that what I take?
No, I thought it was a positive. I thought
making fun of you.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was saying your telestration was immaculate. Less than 2 minutes later, the Stars added a fourth, and of course, it's Logan Stankoven who gets his second goal of the night. Remember, 0 goals, 25 games, now 2 in the same game. Second career multi-goal game. He scores on a tip play in the low slot. And, I mean, all 3 of his goals, Luds, are near the net within, 10 feet? Yeah. When I say all 3, 2 goals and an assist tonight. He tipped 2 of them, and he got a rebound on the other one. It's his game.
Where's Ovechkin's office?
The left circle.
Okay. This is where Stank's office is. And honestly, this was Matt Duchene trying to score another goal. And unfortunately for Duchene, or however we want to look at it, Stank was in the line of fire, and he gets credited with one that goes off him.
So with that, the Stars have a 3-goal lead. Mavrik Bourque hits the left post on a 2-on-1. The Leafs look dead. They do get a power play. They had a chance from Matthews. They had a few more scoring chances, but the high danger ones didn't exist. Dallas was in perfect control, manage the game mode, and by the end of the night, the Leafs get walked all over on their home rink. If you saw after 5 minutes of the first period, and I said, who do you think is going to win this one? I think reasonable people would say, boy, it looks like Toronto. They have the early goal. They're on the front foot. Dallas is maybe in trouble tonight. What a about face this game took.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was after the third goal. It was like Toronto took their foot off the gas a little bit, and I think the belief was taken out of them. They're like, "Oh, we're going to be on this little losing streak, and here's another one." So I didn't think they did a lot to push back.
What do you think about the hit?
Dumba. It was a good hit.
Oh, on Domi.
I mean, you know what? We don't have that, but even as we go through it and look at it, his elbow was in his chest. You know, and Max is not a big guy. You know, I mean, he's short stature. He's about your size.
Thanks for tapping me.
Just to make sure it's clear.
On skates, you guys are about the same height. That's what I'm saying. Sure. And Dumba,
now you're being generous.
Dumba's a little bit bigger. Okay, well maybe not. Okay, but when you see it and when you slow it down and you pause it, his arm is in his chest, and it's underneath his chin in his chest. So there was nothing wrong with the hit.
He's the same height as me.
No, see, there you go.
At least he's the same height as what I tell people I am.
I didn't know he was 5'6" also.
Oh, man. The timing is phenomenal.
Why did I come back here?
It's time for your chats. Super chats get the front of the line. We'll do that next here on the DLLS Dallas Stars postgame show. Sam?
This is me?
It's you.
Oh, heck yeah. Let's talk about Empire Today. Because I knew that I had that coming. With Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire is your one-stop flooring shop. They want to provide the best and most efficient service. May not always be the most affordable, but that's because it is the best, and you will get the best experience working with them. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect style. Their floor designer is a great way to see how any floor will look in your home by just snapping a simple picture. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off discount when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details.
Let's talk about
That's a good
Shady
recovery.
Rays. You can get ready for the season ahead, whatever season it is. And sometimes in Texas, you get all 4 in the same day. Sometimes you get one season, which is hot, and one season not hot. Well, Shady Rays has you covered, as our friends over at Shady Rays have premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. They are an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They have shades with durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor activities. You have great different styles. If you like aviators, if you like the really skinny wire frames, you want to go with the more classic dark lenses, cat eyes. They even have ski goggles. That's all the sort of things that you can do. And they have some for this bozo over here. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use the code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right. It's Super Chat time, and you know what that means. Let's load up the bing bongs and get this one started.
1 second.
Oh, a lot of things for our producer to do.
I tried to time it with the...
John is not on it tonight.
Oh, I'm on it. I just have to hit 9 things before we get there. And
I get
Owen
it.
always goes right to it right when we get through that read.
Well,
Bing
we're
bong.
ready for it. Yes. Let's get to it. First one. How about a little Stankoven Ludwig from I Love Misty 1985? Feels great to end our 7-game losing streak to the Leafs since February 13th of 2020 in Toronto, with Stank and the power play both contributing 2 goals. Can't wait to see Steve Dangle freak out on his LFR. Ha.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
I agree. Do you remember what you did on the Valentine's Day after that last win, 2020?
No.
It's right before COVID shut down, right? So
Rant and complain that's a dumb holiday all about selling cards and chocolates and flowers.
He's one of those.
Yes.
What about you?
I am
What's your Valentine's Day
anti-Valentine's Day.
tradition?
How does your wife feel about that?
She's heard me
Don't
rant about it for a
acknowledge
very
it.
long time.
But do you still buy the flowers?
These two married guys don't acknowledge it and complain.
Wow.
No.
Yikes.
We do.
Is that what I have in my future?
We do it a little differently because I still want to honor, but I don't want to support that crap.
Fair.
Bloody?
I opened a can, lads. I didn't mean to.
No.
We just found out Owen's a
He
communist.
said he doesn't acknowledge
which I
it.
support.
What am I?
A communist?
I just don't like Valentine's Day. We just had Christmas. It's 6 weeks, guys. Anyway,
Came on.
Bing bong.
JT, who was trolling in the chat earlier, a Stankoven Bourque. Steve Spott told Stankoven before this game, shoot for the stars, kid. Great win on the back of Bourque, playing the best hockey he's ever played.
That's true.
Yeah.
He is. Not a big sample size, but
I have a
I mean,
question.
best hockey he's ever played at this level.
That's
Yes.
what now? 4 solid games he's played?
Yeah, seriously. I have
better
a
than
question
before.
for you, though. What do you think the ceiling is on Mavrik Bourque now that you've started to see him find his offensive touch here at the NHL level? Can he be a top 6 center? Can he be a second-line center for you as he develops in the next couple of years?
I would say in the next couple because he doesn't have to be right
No,
now.
no, not this year. I'm talking
here,
about-
in this organization.
Yes.
There's a top 3 centers.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I think
Yeah, I
that's
mean-
the key.
I think that there. Yes.
Okay,
he's
so
gonna
that's the
fit
question.
into
Can he
his-
fit into
Yeah.
that center depth as
Yeah.
one of those guys?
Yeah.
Because to me, that's really important because you have Rope Hintz. Who knows how long you have Matt Duchene? There's Wyatt Johnston is a center, although he's playing wing because of
Don't you
he's filling
think
a
that's
hole.
the natural progression? Is when what is Dookie now? Dutch is what 36?
35?
Okay,
I think.
is that not the natural progression then
Yes.
for Bourque to possibly move up into that hole?
Well, I
then?
mean, if you could, I
also
still
have
think
Wyatt
that
and
still think
Tyler.
Wyatt could be your center, not wing. I like him at both,
yeah,
but I just wonder if your future 3 is it Hintz, Johnston, Bourque.
What did Wyatt come into the league at? Is he a natural center or a natural winger?
Center.
Center.
He's a natural
Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's looking pretty good at the wing with Duchene and
He's
Ben.
so
though.
skilled. He can play
I
anywhere.
think he's like Joe Pavelski. He's so smart that he can adapt his game to play either wing or center.
And probably what's going to happen is they're going to have another centerman come along, but Bourque will probably be there, and Wyatt can play wherever, and maybe Wyatt's the next guy to play with. Well, no, probably maybe they want to keep him in.
And by the way,
and
talking
Logan
about center
together.
depth, I mean, Sam Steele is a bargain, even at his pay raise he got this year. I mean, just an incredible player who's definitely good enough to play higher in the lineup, but playing farther down just means you have that much more depth.
And this might be just because he's still young, and this is obviously still only his rookie season, but Bourque is way better when he plays at center right now. So I don't know if that's the case in 2 years, but as of now, that's where he needs to be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
I just think because of his size too. I mean, there's I always say on the wall you got to do a little more work. And you can get tied up with some bigger wingers.
And he's good in front of his own net.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. We have Ardell, a little Huru, and Ludwig. Or that one. Foxa and Dumba. Toronto hit Dallas hard and often. Oh, he's saying Foxa and Dumba. I get it. It's not Huru. Thank you. Dallas had the puck a lot. I think it's very important that Dumba and Ben brought reciprocity to the ice, and I think it matters in the room. Look, I don't think that Dallas being out hit is a huge deal, right?
No,
because they have the puck.
It's a norm.
Hey, it's the norm. But as Sam was complaining about the other night, he does like to see some physicality going the other way. I don't think you're going to see a ton of it because I don't think there are enough guys on the roster that play with that kind of big let up the boom. But that's something Dumba has to do. That's what he was brought in here for. If he wants to stay here, he has to bring that.
It's part of his identity. He's that kind of a player. He's been that kind of a player since he's been in the league. And maybe he doesn't get to the same spots that he used to all the time, but it's not lack of wanting to do it. So I think if you turned him loose, he'd probably do it every shift he could if he didn't have to kill penalties all the time.
I forget who it was. Someone in the Discord said it perfectly went out after that rant I went on the other night and said it doesn't necessarily have to be all the time. It just needs to be a threat of a response. And I think that's the perfect way to say it is they don't need to be doing it all over the ice. But if a team goes out and then nails Miro Heiskanen, they need to understand that they're probably going to have to answer for it. That's the only thing I think.
And what they need is another guy besides Jamie.
Yeah.
You can't, because it's easy to know when Jamie's on the ice all the time, but you've got to be able to, you don't have to just, it's easy to look over your shoulder all the time for one guy. But when you've got a Dumba there, I mean, Pete's mentioned about getting bigger wingers. He'd like to be bigger on the walls. If you're going to get a bigger winger, it's probably a guy that's a little bit more aggressive and plays that kind of game. And if you play that kind of game, more than likely you're willing to drop the gloves. And so I think it's a nice element to add if you can pull it off.
Yep. We got more.
Bing bang.
Can you read any of these?
This is Heiskanen and the Stanley Cup here for Marshall second. Great breakdown on Duchene goal by Luds. Helps a lot as I try to learn more about hockey.
Just stay here. I wish we could, but we can't. I wish we
full
could show you the
clip.
full video instead of having to, do it that way. But we don't. Well, John, we can do it on what, the VODs or whatever.
Yep.
That hell
This
that's
guy dropping terminology.
I know, because he said we got to do a VOD
tomorrow.
Yeah.
By the way, do make sure you check out the DLLS Stars Twitter account because typically, not always, but most games, Luds does a nice video breakdown with an actual clip, not just a still shot, during the first intermission.
And it was stank. It was stank tonight in the first goal, and actually, we were hinted that maybe he could get another one.
And do
tonight.
you remember how we had all these blooper reels early in our show? We don't have them much lately because this guy has been a one-take wonder lately, just nailing them.
And he hasn't asked me to do that in a long time. That's another
well,
reason.
That's John, you just have to ask Sam to do
Finally
some videos.
stop.
I realized the other day that Sam and I haven't done a video in like a month, and I just completely forgot about it.
It's been nice. I haven't had to.
Well, to be fair, you weren't here, and we have 9 games for every 7 days.
Every week.
So, yeah, kind of hard to find the time to do it.
All right, let's go to the next one. There's still more. A little 667. Who the heck is 67 on the Stars? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I Love Missy 1985. Getting another super chat for this factoid. The reigning Oscar Best Picture winner when the Leafs last won the Cup was A Man for All Seasons, which was what, 1950 what, John?
66.
66. I thought it was in the 50s. It's been a long time since Toronto won a Stanley Cup.
Oh.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't dunk on them, because you don't want bad karma or anything, but you did just beat them 4-1. That's probably enough.
You
But
don't need to, and the people in Toronto don't want to be reminded.
Well, it'd be like talking about how long it's been since the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, right? It's the same effect. Sorry, Cowboys fans. Any more?
That is the last super
Okay.
chat as of now.
Well, I just wanted to point out a couple of things here because JJ Monroe said the Robertson's mom streak is over. Jason Robertson actually beat his brother Nick at an NHL game. That was a talking point we had at the beginning. I also really thought it was hilarious that the comment from Allie, our friend from Edmonton, this is all caps. Valentine's Day is the best day of the year.
Wait, obviously Allie's a female.
She is.
Yeah. Don't they get all the free stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. It's in the interest, right?
Good job,
Yeah,
Allie.
when's Man's Day, huh? When's Husband's Day? Boyfriend's Day?
I'm glad you said that
Every-
and not me.
Every
Maybe,
day.
You know, in the other 364.
We're gonna send
every
Allie
day.
something
Every
for
4 years.
Valentine's Day. We'll send her something.
Allie, by the way, did write something about the conversation we had with Bourque. Big fan of Bourque. I think he's at an advantage right now. Time to develop at this level without being thrown right into a top 2 or 3 spot. Saw that with the Oilers for years. Guys thrown in way too early.
I think we should have Allie on the show with us. Should have a special guest.
I'm in.
No one has ever worn number 67 in Dallas.
Yes, that sounds about right.
Confirming.
Yeah, but that's okay. We will still accept your super chats,
curious.
even in
So
spite.
we don't know. Can somebody tell us why it is 67?
I mean,
Yeah.
Is there a reason?
Let us know if you have a reason. I mean, it's a
If
very
you
I
it's
love
a random
Misty.
number.
Yeah, they're both of Misty's super chats tonight. It does add up to 1770. Does that stick out at all? I don't know. I'm asking.
No.
See, your Luds
That
was
was the
born.
year I was born. I was going to get to it before Sam would.
by the way, the one that Marshall did about congratulating Luds said it was his 10th super chat. There's a big balloon and surprise. So
All right.
thank you, Marshall. All right. Oh, here we go. Allie said that Man's Day is March 14th. Look it up. And with that, let's actually, no, we have a couple more minutes. I was gonna toss it, but we
Fake
have
out.
Okay, if you look it up, be ready to laugh.
Oh no.
I can't read it out loud on the air.
Sure
but
you
what
can,
came-
producer
what came up.
John. Come on. Can you? Wow. Okay. That's
See that?
interesting. I think I missed the schedule on that one.
March 14th. Don't say
Don't read it out loud. Just read it in your head. Yep. Like I said, it'd probably be good to get Allie on the show. There's humor there.
Luds is like, that's every day too.
I'm just biting my bottom lip off right now.
All right. At this moment, let us turn to our final segment coming up here on the DLS Dallas Stars postgame show. But first, let's talk about being a diehard. Jordan Crilly was in our chat asking about what it means to be a diehard. Well, Sam, what are some of the things that you bring to the table from a DLS Stars perspective that benefits diehards?
Yeah, for the Stars, you get to read all the articles that Sean or I write. A lot of those are going to be diehard level only. You get to jump in the Discord, which is our server to answer another question in the chat, where you can chat to us about the Stars. You can ask questions to Luds, which we're going to do tomorrow on the Luds Damn Discord. You could talk.
Final segment of tomorrow's show.
You can talk to John about movies and food and.
Oh yeah, we got some stuff dropping in the movies and TV channel coming.
And
up
may
soon.
I point out that there was a Wes Anderson reference the other day. I believe John made the reference.
Yes, it was
And
when we were
then-
talking about bellhops or whatever, and we started talking about Grand Budapest Hotel. 'cause
You brought
that's who-
that up. I don't remember if it was bellhops, but maybe Luddy was telling a story about being on the road. But if you go into the Discord and you click on the DLS Diehard Discord and you click on movies, that channel, John has unprompted listed as, I think, top 10 Wes Anderson movies.
I just did all of them, so I think he's at
Yeah.
10. So I think it's 10
So
or 11.
Just happened to be 10.
Yeah.
So there's that. Oh, jeez. We'll get to the chat in a second because there's a couple funny ones here. But
I was trying to be nice, and I still get.
no, you're
still
getting stuff. You're getting ass.
pooped on.
Here's the thing. Sign up to be a diehard. Use the QR code on the screen, which is right down there. You can also go to the website if you're listening to us later, alldlls.com. Thank you, John. And if you do that and sign up for an annual subscription that's less than $7 a month, you can get access to all the diehard level writing, whether it's Sean or Sam or any of the DLLS writers, Cowboys, Mavs, Rangers. If you don't care so much about those other sports, if you're hockey only, that's okay. You also get the access to the Die Hard channel. There's a Stars one. If you enjoy the chat in the pregame show and the postgame show, and you go, man, I wish I could do the chat during the game. Well, we don't have a YouTube broadcast during the game unless we do the watch party, which we will do another one. You can go to the Die Hard Stars chat, and they're chatting in in Discord during the game. Plus, if you sign up to be a Die Hard, you get a free T-shirt code. You can use one of your choice to get. This is the Texas Rangers colors Die Hard. You can get the Black Flag version of DLLS. Letty's not going to take his shirt off right now.
Get a Luds shirt of some kind.
We have to go into Notion and make a merchandise request.
Yeah, we're on that.
Yeah. Anyway, lots of options. Make sure you sign up today. It's a lot of fun. Be a diehard. Help support our show and all the shows here at DLLS. All right, before we get to the final parts of our post-game show tonight, I do have to go back to GM Ben.
Wait, can you go to Texas Twist?
Sure.
Question.
Which one?
I don't know. It just flashed on there somewhere.
Oh,
Where's Texas Twist? It's a good question.
Well, there's
in Texas.
Can you read it? Because there's a couple. Because look, our GM is in now, and he's starting to cause trouble.
Yeah, but it's
starting.
It's aimed at GM Ben.
Okay.
What happened to all the available HM to victory shoot, which I mean shot, a.k.a. I didn't see that part, a.k.a. Luds.
Let's party.
Let's party.
Oh, he wants you to take a victory shot.
It's
over there.
It exists. I think there's some details they're trying to iron out for the second half of the season because we are in the second half of the season.
That doesn't mean I can't drink it, does it?
I mean,
well, this is
bubbly,
sparkling water.
It's Bellini, though. It's alcoholic.
No,
Don't you feel it rush into your brain? It's like a sip of hot toddy.
Ben started into the chat with another plunger, and he censored himself. See?
At least he didn't make it so that
John didn't have to censor. I know, that was helpful.
I think GM Ben's having some shots right now.
Then he said the parties can start, and he did. We need another watch party. We were actually talking about that.
Is that the watch party? We haven't had a watch party.
Along.
We haven't had one since Finland.
Well, I was thinking about it earlier, and tonight probably would.
By the way,
tonight would have been the night to do that because going up against NFL playoffs this weekend would be rough.
Yeah,
truth.
Ben also said, "Luds, you can have a shot."
Oh,
so if you want to get one, you got the blessing of our boss.
Oh,
so there's that. He's just going to push you out of the way. While we wait for Luds to come back with the victory shot, Sam's going to try to steal his seat.
The levels are different, Sam, on the mics.
I'm just curious how he sits.
The heights of the chairs. this one's for the roof.
I don't even know how much they can hear.
I don't know, but there's a booster seat on this one. What does that mean?
I'm just waiting for you to fall out of the chair. So as we get to the victory shot, I'll hear that sound.
I love the noise.
Let's do our man of the match. Okay. So, since Luds is imbibing at the moment, Sam, we'll start with you.
Get a whiff of that.
Ow. I think I got drunk from that. What did you say?
Man of the match, Sam.
Logan Stankoven. I think he was great again. Obviously got the 2 goals, but I am calling a Stankoven a stanky run right now. I think he's going to get hot. Score a lot of goals.
Yep.
I take back he's going to score 40 prediction at the beginning of the season.
Luds?
I'm going to call it an unsung hero.
Ooh, I like this.
Ottinger.
Ooh, I was going to pick him because I thought you were going to pick the obvious one. This is great. Why Ottinger?
Well, I think he made some key saves that didn't look like they were difficult saves. There were a few that were through traffic. I didn't hear the guys mention anything that he had to look through some things, and I thought he was very calm. Like I didn't see him scrambling at all tonight. I thought he held his net well, and I don't put anything on that first one because Matthews does that to every goaltender in the league. The guy scores 69 goals in a year. He knows what he's doing.
Owen?
My pick is Matt Duchene. He had a 3-point night. He's from the greater Toronto area. You have no idea, for people that don't live there, how important it is to show out in a game like that and not just have 3 points, but to score between the legs on the power play that help basically put the Leafs away at the beginning of the third period.
That thing's already rolling on the highlight reels.
Oh, my goodness. And it's going to be shown all night long.
Good. It can't
around
always
Canada.
be
Hockey
McDavid.
tongue.
And by the way, GM Ben is still flying in the chat. COVID, flu, RSV, norovirus, spreading like wild, like crazy. Lud's drinks straight from the office bottle.
All right, somehow I'll be the one who gets sick.
I've never had it.
Hey, boss.
This is
been
how you kill
all
germs.
season long.
This is a germ killer.
Nothing new tonight. Yeah. And then JT said whiskey cures all of those, GM Ben.
Yeah.
So so for me, it's Duchene. Now, when you look ahead, because the Stars' upcoming schedule looks very challenging, Lutz, and this was something
It
we
gets
talked.
a little more difficult.
Well, we talked about this the other night, so I want to go through it really quickly here tonight because we're going to have some time tomorrow during our regular show at 2 Central to talk about lots of things. But they're back home after a 5-game road trip. They play Montreal. They had to go to a shootout to beat the Montreal Canadiens on Saturday, and Montreal traveled the day before, played in Washington, had to come back after an overtime game. It's a good game. Actually, I thought it was a really good hockey game.
Yeah.
It's entertaining, fun. Wouldn't have minded more goals, but it was, both goalies were really good. I have a thought that maybe Casey DeSmith gets that start. Why? Because you have Colorado at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon in Denver. So that's a day and a half later. Wouldn't you want Jake Ottinger as fresh as possible for that game? And Sunday, you're back home for a 7 o'clock back-to-back at home against the white-hot, not just red-hot, white-hot Detroit Red Wings. And then on Tuesday of the following week, a week from today, they host Carolina. And wouldn't you like Ottinger for that game? So that's what I'm... Do you think we're going to see a rotation for the next few games like this?
Yeah, I can see that. Detroit's not white hot anymore. They lost to the Sharks tonight. So
Well, okay,
that's not white hot. They got some...
Are they still
ahead.
simmering?
Sharks
They won
white hot.
7 in a row,
Yeah.
just like the Stars did.
Yeah, I can see, tailoring your games to your goaltenders, but when they're guys that you're going to be competing with and getting out of the conference and all that kind of stuff, I think it's nice to set a tone. So, but I always do. I always think I don't think you can write it down on a calendar and say this is the way it's going to be, because you may have Jake playing against whoever. Say they're playing against the Red Wings and you got Colorado coming up 2 days later, and Jake has an easy game against the Wings. I can see where that would change. So, but do they have a plan? Of course they do. But I think there's other factors that can come into that can change it. We've already seen that.
Sam, this is a test, this little next stretch, because they have Montreal, Colorado, a Detroit team that's playing better. Yes, they lost 6-3 tonight at home to San Jose, but then you have Carolina at home, Vegas home in St. Louis on a back-to-back. Then they have to go to Vegas for a one-off game, and then they host Vancouver to close out the month.
Yeah, they have. It's going to be interesting to see for what you're just saying with the goaltending too, because they have a few breaks in there. There's a couple 2-day breaks in there between, I think, Carolina and Vegas, and then a pretty open week, especially for the way we've been going that last week of the month. So, but it's a test. I think this team needs a test right now. They believe they are starting to play their game. They believe they are finding the right players and at the right time, and guys are starting to score. So this could be I think we called it something earlier in the year. I can't remember what the stretch was, but we said we'll know more about this team after this stretch, and I think this is another one of those.
And these kind of games that are coming up is when, and you're playing them and you're having success, you're putting one brick on top of another, and you're building your house. You're turning it into a fortress. So when you get to that, that time of the year that you can look back and look at all the different ways you won hockey games, and coming back from games or not playing well in the first period and losing a game and saying, hey, we got to be ready to go. All those little learning moments.
You're a team that's won 8 of 9. You had a 4-1 road trip. You're coming home to play a team you beat. I know it was a tough game. Sam?
I know what he's going to say.
Is he going to this trap thing again?
I know what he's going to say.
You're going to hear it on Thursday.
I think anytime you come home and you've been on the road, where I say that it's a little easier for a player to be on the road because there's more, what at home?
Distractions.
Yeah, and that I don't mean that in a negative way because it's your family and your friends and all this other kind of stuff. But there's just more things, and so you're not dialed in as much as you want to be and try to be. There's just other things that are going on, and yeah, I mean if you're not playing the Colorado when you come back, or who's ever on top of the league, and they're blowing teams out that you're like, man, we don't want to get blown out of our own building. Of course, I don't think it's a trap because then, like I said before. One of the definitions for trap is something that you're unaware of.
Yeah.
They're not unaware of who they're playing.
Yeah, they're a veteran team. The coach is well aware of all this stuff. But one thing that I think is important that Pete talked about, I think it was right before the trip, is he said, we needed this. We need to go on the road. And I think that was important to find their game without the distractions, find their game where it's just the team in the room. Go find your simple road game. So it'll be interesting for me, not necessarily a trap, but it'll be interesting to see if they translate that to back onto home ice.
You get closer when you win on the road than you do when you're at home. Yeah. If that sounds crazy, but it's not. You because you're just naturally spending more time around. There's more laughing, joking, all the good things that you do with, in the group of 22, 23 guys, and you just naturally, your bonds grow tighter.
I don't know if you guys both saw the article that Pierre LeBrun wrote about Jason Robertson and Wyatt Johnston. It was in The Athletic yesterday. And he talked to both of those players at the hotel in Toronto the day before, so the day before tonight's game. And both players did not make the Four Nations roster. I think it was probably more surprising at this stage that Jason Robertson didn't than Wyatt Johnston, just because Canada's stacked and Wyatt's young.
But they still can. They can still be selected.
They still can, right. But the initial roster.
Right.
We all know that both players did not have a particularly good start to the season, especially with Jason Robertson and the off-season injury and stuff. And the surgery, not injury, but dealing with that and not having the normal training. And Robo was very candid about it, saying that he didn't realize how important his off-season training was to set his base. But the part that really stood out to me, Luds, because it's your favorite word, they were talking about not making the Four Nations, or the Four Nations decision looming over them, and he called it somewhat of a distraction. He said, when I didn't make the team, the weight was off my shoulders as far as not having to think about it anymore. It was somewhat of a distraction.
Hellebuck said the very same thing a couple days ago when I was listening to an interview he was doing also, but he said not right now, but when it gets about a week or two out, that's when it probably will be, just because my mind won't be 100% focused on this. I think it's just natural.
And Pete was asked about it too. Hey, you're coaching with Team Canada. Is it? He goes, no, it's too far away, I think, in the periphery right now. It's in the horizon, so I'm not thinking about it. But as you get closer, it's definitely going to affect. And so just a quick cursory glance at the Stars. I mean, everybody's got games right up until the Four Nations break. And many teams have players that are going. But in that early part of February, they have a week, and it's a California road trip. Okay? That's at Anaheim and then a back-to-back at L.A.
That's at the end of the month, isn't it?
That is the beginning of February.
Right before the break.
But think about this. It's at Anaheim on a Tuesday, 2 days off, and then at L.A., so they don't have to travel, and then at San Jose.
They have something similar to that at the end of February also. Another one almost identical.
When they come back.
They go to New Jersey, the Islanders, and then at Columbus. But think about that. You'll fly to L.A. on Monday, the 3rd of February, and you will have 4 days, 2 games in 4 days without having to really leave the area. And you wonder where the minds are going to be. And again, something we'll talk about more when we get there. But I just thought that, Lud, you talk about focus and not being distracted.
Yep.
That could be a real distracting portion of the season. But I thought it was really interesting that Robertson admitted that knowing he wasn't playing well, knowing how much he wanted to be on the Team USA roster, it was affecting him mentally.
You could see it on the way he was playing. He didn't look confident, right? And that's seemed to be the key for so many of the guys as they build up. And Pete talked about it with Jamie Benn, which I wrote about in an article. I don't even remember which day at this point. You don't think that guys that are veterans or experienced or scoring leaders or breaking records have confidence issues. But he said it happens to every hockey player. And when you are not feeling fully healthy and up to speed, that's an easy way to lose confidence in your game.
I thought there was a great bit in here about Jim Nill talked to Wyatt Johnston after not making Team Canada. And think about this. Well, actually, we'll think about this in a second. We'd like to thank everybody for tuning in on our television channels tonight, our platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe here on the pod and check out alldlls.com. Okay, back to the show and our final thought, because I actually missed that the other night. And John texted us, and I still didn't see it. Jim Neal told Wyatt about not making the Four Nations roster. If you were to pick one of the two upcoming international tournaments, Four Nations or the Olympics, which one would you rather be on? And the answer is obviously the Olympics, because that's, winning a Stanley Cup is probably number one for most teams, but playing for your country in the Olympics is a pretty close second, isn't it, Lutz?
I don't know. I never have.
But wouldn't that desire be
close.
there?
I wouldn't. I
No?
want vacation. I do.
Wrong guy to
Hey,
ask.
you went to
Wrong
that
guy to
camp,
ask.
though.
You were at that 1980
It was
camp.
my birthday, and I was the second guy cut. It was my birthday weekend.
You were there.
And I went with three
You
friends.
got cut from the team. That's I would claim that to fame for the rest of my life.
Thinking about that, I wonder how much pressure are on the guys when your general manager, in this case here, your coach, is part of the team that you're trying to make too. Are you trying to push even more in regular games, trying to impress,
and look
so
at
that
some
they're
of the-
putting a good word to go to battle for you?
Look at some of the guys that were selected, right? You think Doug Armstrong didn't have a say in
Oh
that?
yeah,
Of
for
course he
sure.
did.
Of
Yeah.
course. That's why he's taking Binnington.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
he said this a long time ago.
But I
he
think
was going to be his
Binnington
goalie.
was probably going to be anyway.
I don't know.
I think they could have flipped a coin to pick a goalie for Canada.
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly.
But I don't know if Logan Thompson's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
He didn't get picked. Montembeault and Hill were the other two. But anyway, I think it's interesting that as soon as Jason Robertson found out that he didn't make it and the pressure was off, that's when he started to play his best hockey. I think it also coincides with him starting to physically feel better, but get some confidence. Letty, you said it. Confidence makes a huge difference for a guy like that.
Those guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's about. It's about points and goals, and because that's what they're here to do, and they know the press, especially guys that have the big contracts. Well, I guess in Wyatt's case, guy that's looking for the big contract, but I think that because of the general managers, the coaches, they know how good these guys are. They know that they're going to come around at some point, and they want it to be sooner than later, and they want it to be at the right time of the year. I mean, if anything, they'd probably rather see Robo go into a cold spell now for the next 20 games, and then when you get to game 65, start lighting it up. Same with Wyatt and same with everybody else.
I'd like to see him just play like this for the rest of the
of course
season.
you would. Right.
Listen to this last quote from Robertson because it's fascinating. Talks about the mental side of it. November was frustrating because you've had a slow start and you've never had one before. The whole time you're playing, you're thinking like, I haven't done well, not good enough. I've never had that mentally to deal with.
Yep.
And he went through it.
Yep.
And it wasn't
Probably
easy.
makes him stronger too to
You hope.
go through
Yeah,
it and
you absolutely
get
hope
through
so.
it.
All right. Well, guys, nice little post chat there. We will have a regular show tomorrow. Sean will join us. He was in Toronto this morning, so he's going to report on some of his conversations and information he found out up in Toronto at Morning Skate. 2:00 Central Time is our regular podcast tomorrow. We will be doing a Lud's Damn Discord tomorrow. We haven't done that for a little while because we haven't had a lot of shows. If you haven't already, go to and you're a diehard, go to the Discord channel, go click on Stars Beat, of course, and then enter your questions, your comments, your hypotheticals, trivia, anything you want to try to elicit a funny story, a little Ludscapades, maybe Stump a Luds, anything you want to do, hit it up. We'll compile them, and that'll be part of our last segment of tomorrow's show. Big thank you to all.
Sam's got a question.
Sam, you have a
I
question.
just want to say before you signed off that with the win tonight, Mr. Peter DeBoer moved into 19th all-time in wins with 640 wins behind the bench. So big congrats to Pete DeBoer there.
Congrats. 19th. But he has been doing
If
it
you
a
look
long
above him, he's got a lot less games than a lot of these guys. So he'll be moving up.
Well, some huge names in
He'll
the
be jumping
coaching
up.
circles for sure. 2:00 tomorrow for Craig Ludwig, for Sam Nessler, producer John Anderson. I'm Owen Newkirk. And for all of our chats, everybody that was in there, diehards or not, we really appreciate it. You make it go around. It's a lot of fun. Let's keep it going. Stars with the win, and they move on to play Montreal on Thursday. We'll be here tomorrow, 2:00 here on the DLS Dallas Stars podcast tonight, post-game show. Thanks for joining us.
Who are you people?
We all silly like the mayor.